What if the largest structure built in ancient Egypt wasn't a pyramid? What if the most massive architectural achievement of the ancient world is actually sitting in a barren patch of sand, almost completely lost to history? Here is the paradox. Historical records describe a monument that contained 3,000 individual rooms. It was significantly more complex than the pyramids at Giza. And yet, if you go to the site today, there is virtually nothing left above ground. This mystery centers on a site called Hawara, located near the entrance to the Fayum Oasis. Dominating the landscape is a badly eroded mud brick pyramid belonging to Pharaoh Amenemhat III, who ruled during the 12th dynasty. In ancient Egypt, the physical presence of a pharaoh's pyramid required a corresponding mortuary complex for worship and administration. A ruler of Amenemhat's stature required a significant one, which makes the empty desert surrounding his tomb a physical contradiction. In 1888, the British archaeologist Flinders Petrie arrived at Hawara to excavate. South of the pyramid, he uncovered a colossal artificial stone plateau measuring 304 by 244 meters. Petrie concluded that this massive stone slab was merely the foundation of the lost complex. He reasoned that over the centuries, the actual building above it had been entirely quarried away by later civilizations looking for building materials. For over a century, mainstream Egyptology accepted this verdict. The case was considered closed. The legendary complex existed, but it had been thoroughly dismantled and erased from the map. Petrie's theory collides with the direct testimony of people who actually walked through the complex while it was still standing. The most detailed account comes from the Greek historian Herodotus, who visited the site in the 5th century BC. Herodotus documented a structure of 3,000 individual chambers. 1,500 were above ground, and the other 1,500 were subterranean. Centuries later, Strabo noted the ceilings of these chambers consisted of extraordinary single slabs of stone, creating an enormous continuous roof. If a monument of this scale actually existed, with a massive stone barrier separating the upper and lower levels, surface scavengers could not have easily reached the basement. It is unlikely that every subterranean trace could be erased. In 2008, a collaboration known as the Mataha Expedition decided to test that doubt. They deployed advanced ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography to peer straight through the Hawara Desert. The equipment returned a highly specific set of data. Between 8 and 12 meters deep, the scans detected massive, high-resistivity walls, forming uniform grid-like patterns. This indicates large structural voids beneath the sand. This data yielded a new hypothesis. That colossal stone layer Petrie identified as the floor might actually be the monolithic roof described by Strabo. The scans suggest it is still there, protecting intact, unexcavated chambers below. This discovery sparked wild internet speculation, including rumors of a 40-meter metallic, tic-tac-shaped object hidden in the center. But we don't need to entertain science fiction here. The peer-reviewed, verified radar voids are compelling enough. Modern geophysical imaging validates the ancient eyewitnesses over early archaeological assumptions. The labyrinth isn't missing. We have likely just been standing on its roof. This chart compares the base footprints of two structures. The Great Pyramid at Giza is massive, but it shrinks when placed next to the estimated 28,000 square meter rectangular footprint of the Labyrinth complex. Creating that complex required a level of logistical coordination rarely seen in the Middle Kingdom. The builders managed to connect 12 massive courtyards and thousands of chambers, all roofed with heavy, singular stone blocks. This physical complexity is why classical historians wrote that the labyrinth surpassed the pyramids. It represented a feat of organizational and physical labor that the Greeks found impossible to navigate without a guide. The volume of underground voids mapped by the radar data suggests that Middle Kingdom architectural capabilities were far more extensive than surviving surface ruins show. The conflicting theories about the site's fate actually complement each other. The upper levels were likely quarried by Romans, just as Petrie claimed, and the exposed mud brick components eroded. But beneath that protective stone roof, the subterranean granite chambers survived. There is, however, a modern reality facing the site. Those surviving deep chambers are currently inaccessible, submerged in a highly saline, corrosive water table. The culprit for this flaying is not ancient.
The construction of the Aswan High Dam forced a permanent shift in the region's hydrology, pushing destructive, salty water directly into the lower levels of the Hawara site. The greatest remaining wonder of antiquity survived 3 millennia of humanity, only to be actively dissolved in the dark by modern infrastructure, which raises an unavoidable question. Since the initial radar scans of 2008, no physical excavation has been completed to drain the water and enter the site. After the findings were shared at a public lecture, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities halted all formal communication of the research, citing Egyptian national security sanctions. The lead researchers eventually had to publish the data on their own independent website. So we are left at an impasse. Is the complex fully destroyed or merely buried? Why was a complex of 3,000 rooms built in the Fayum Oasis in the first place? If a structure of these dimensions can be lost, documented by science, and then largely ignored by modern authorities, how much of human history are we still missing?